nanostroke, like what's the difference? I get a question,
Okay,
like what is nanostrokes?
so nanostroke is basically a single needle with a digital machine. So there's some amazing artists out there that can do a hair stroke brow. Okay, let's just say this. Microblading and nanostroking accomplish the same look. They're both a hair stroke look. They're
Same
both,
outcome.
yes, they're both quote unquote semi-permanent. They fall into the permanent makeup industry, right? It is personally for me, it is harder for me to get a really crisp, good hair stroke brow with a single needle. It takes a lot of practice. You have a moving machine and a moving needle that you have to go back and forth over the same line multiple times to get it to that right depth, and you have to keep it really crisp and thin. For me, it's easier with my microblade. I just one stroke through and it stays really crisp, right? So nanostroke and microblading, they're the same outcome, just different techniques. So for somebody to say, oh, nanostroking, it's less invasive, it's better for the skin, that's just BS. It depends on the person behind the tool. Somebody with a nanostroke or a single needle and a machine can go just as deep and just as damaging as somebody who's going too heavy with a microblade. But if you're going at that right depth, both of them are amazing and result in great hair stroke brows.
I get, people will call for wanting to learn to get into permanent makeup, and they'll ask me, do you teach the machine method of doing hair strokes and with the hand tool microblading? And we don't. Why don't we do both of them? I kind of know, but I want to hear your
because
answer to that.
I personally, I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. And I could do a hair stroke brow with a single needle. I have to pull it out, and I do it sometimes, but that is not my strength. I could point you in the direction. Mary Richardson is an amazing single needle teacher. It's a very hard technique to learn and to master.
Would you think for someone starting out, should they get some experience doing with a hand tool first?
I don't find the need to ever okay, so shading and hair stroke are totally different. I don't personally find the need, once you know microblading, to ever have to learn how to do a hair stroke with a single needle machine. There's just no reason for it. With shading, I personally like to shade. I mean, I think it's important to learn manually how to shade in case your machine breaks and whatnot. But I personally like to shade with a machine better than I like to shade manually. But I like to hair stroke manually better than I like to hair stroke with a machine.
So would those be kind of your favorite tools? It's like, for what's your, with brows, whether you're
with
shading
brows,
or doing hair strokes, what's your favorite tools?
With brows, my favorite tool to use is a hand tool. I don't like to use a machine for my hair strokes, not because one's better than the other, just because it's in my expertise and it's my best outcome is to microblade a hair stroke brow. My favorite tool to use for shading is a machine. Now that's not because my results are different, they're the exact same, but because my hand gets a little tired, I prefer to use a machine over hand method.
Shading, or for machine, is it safe to say a machine is more efficient to do shading?
No, they're both efficient. They both can accomplish the exact same thing. You can go too heavy with the machine, but you can go just as heavy with a hand tool while you're shading. You can go too light with a machine, you can go just as light with a hand tool. Do I have more control with one than I do with the other? No. It's for me, it's all about how fast, the most efficient for me, and that for shading for me it's a machine. For hair stroke it's the hand tool.
For a beginner, what's easier to pick up on?
I don't think there is one that's easier. I think there's a learning curve for both. I think it's really important to learn manual shading as well as machine shading, but I don't think it's equally as important to learn manual hair strokes as it is to learn microblading. Okay. So let me restate that. For microblading, or not for microblading, for a hair stroke brow, for me, one technique is sufficient. For shading, I like both techniques.